Well, folks, if you listen to the lies coming from Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Republicans, you would think America is going crazy. Rampant crime everywhere, yet the FBI says that is not the case. A sharp decrease in violent crime took place. First of all, overall violent crime was down 3% in 2023 from the year before. Murders and non-negligent manslaughter dropped nearly 12%. Even with the 2020 pandemic surges, violent crime is down dramatically from the 1990s. Now, Trump recently pushed his attacks on immigrants, claiming that crime is through the roof under President Joe Biden's administration. Here's that lie.
In Queens a few months ago, an illegal alien released by Kamala Harris, she was in charge of the border, approached two 13-year-old children with a machete in broad daylight, forced them into the woods, tied them together by the wrists and raped them, injured them terribly, very badly. You know about it. In the Bronx, another illegal alien that Kamala Harris set loose into our country approached a 36-year-old woman while pretending to ask for directions. Ma'am, he said, I'd like directions to someplace.
All right, so first of all, I'm not going to sit here and just keep playing those lies. Again, what you see there is they want to, one, blame Vice President Kamala Harris on any crime that involves a migrant into this country. But the bottom line is they want to overlook the reality that crime among immigrants is actually lower than Americans. Rachael Eisenberg with the Center for American Progress. He's the managing director of Rights and Justice. He joins us right now. Michael, glad to have you here. Let's be real clear. I'm sorry. My apologies. I read that wrong. Rachael Eisenberg. Rachel, let's be real clear. This is scare tactics. This is all about, and I'm just going to be frankly, this is about scaring white people into thinking that, oh my God, these immigrants, these people of color, they are destroying our nation. We're going crazy to hell. Let's load the streets with crime, and it's the Democrats' fault this is all happening.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on today. I think you're spot on. The Trump and his campaign really are ignoring the facts, and the facts that the FBI released in its annual data today from 2023 really show that crime is declining, and in many categories and all over the country. And so you have data from law enforcement agencies that cover 94% of the country, showing that reported crime is down. And it just doesn't fit with the narrative that Donald Trump wants to tell.
Well, and it's not just Donald Trump, it's Republicans as well. And so when you look at polling data, they poll better when it comes to crime because they have created this notion, just like with the economy, that they somehow are better than the Democrats. Oh, those Democrats, they'll cash bail. They want people out of jail. You could just steal stuff all around the country and you won't get arrested because they want to play this tough on crime deal when in fact, we have had an issue in this country when it comes to locking people up. But you got people like Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton who believe more people should be thrown into jail because it is the economic driver for a lot of these rural communities in red states. That's what that's also about.
And the reality is that the Democrats know and have been actually implementing policies and programs across the country to keep people safe. They're investing in community-based solutions that are showing success at driving crime rates down. And you're seeing evidence of that in the FBI crime data that was released today. They're developing programs that are partnerships with community organizations to intervene in violence to make sure it doesn't happen. They're investing in law enforcement's efforts to investigate and close violent crime cases. They are supporting victims and crime survivors who have really suffered and who are in need of support. And so we have, there's countless evidence that shows the policies that are actually supported by Democrats and by Vice President Harris through the investments made in the American Rescue Plan and the passage of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act to restrict access to guns, that those things are having a real impact in communities across the country. And that is just not something that, I mean, Republicans are not offering any solutions. They would just rather, put up smoke and mirrors.
Well, look, Rachel, I'm here in Atlanta, and I can tell you yesterday when I was watching NFL games, especially the Dallas Cowboys losing yesterday. Of course, I'm sure Henry, my director, is really happy I mentioned that. He's a big Cowboys fan. And so during halftime, it was like 4 Trump commercials. 2 of them were all about saying that, Vice President Kamala Harris wants sex changes for transgender illegal immigrants. And so there were 2 of those ads, and the other 2 were dealing with crime. It's Georgia's the battleground state, okay? Now, I also live in Virginia. I'm not seeing those ads there in Virginia because it's a different dynamic there. And so you see what's going on here. And so it is the pushing of lies. And then what then happens, you have Fox News, you have the echo chamber of conservative talk radio. It's not like you got equal time. Then you got these conservative digital websites. And so you're seeing this constant onslaught of crime. New York Post highlighting crimes involving, immigrants, migrants, but ignoring crimes that are happening, frankly, that happen every day among Americans. And so they want to ignore the data, and then they want to say, well, the big cities aren't actually reporting the data, so therefore the numbers are skewed. That's what their whole game is.
That's also not true. I mean, I think every single city in America with 1 million residents or more reported data and that was released by the FBI today. And so the reality is that the Republicans are having a really hard time, dealing with the fact that not only is, crime going down, you also have leaders like Kamala Harris who have spent their entire careers working to make communities safer and has a long track record to show for it. So they're resorting to their, age-old tactics of lifting up one instance of crime and making it that the entire story. Because the reality is that while people still do believe that crime is an issue in this country and their fears are real and valid, Democrats have demonstrated time and again that they both take accountability seriously, holding people accountable for violent crime and holding systems of justice accountable, as well as investing real resources in preventing crime before it happens, which is what's going to make a difference in the long term.
But do you also think part of the problem here is that for Democrats, they've always played defense in this area because Republicans, no matter what Democrats did, tagged them soft on the crime. And so then you had Democrats trying to prove how tough they were on crime. I remember, look, I'm born and raised in Texas. And I remember when Mark White was running for re-election of governor of the state. And I will never forget this ad. And it was these massive posters of all the individuals put to death when he was governor. And it was just like, and like you're walking past these black and white images, and it's like, let me prove how tough I am on crime. I think that's also been part of the deal. When Democrats talk about solutions and not putting people in prison and coming up with alternative methods, it's like, you're soft. And so part of this problem, I think, for the longest, is that Democrats have not been able to properly message on this issue, even when you have the data that's showing crime is going down. I mean, bottom line is, the Biden-Harris administration has put more money into policing, allowing cops to be hired, but that somehow doesn't get through because it's always Republicans, they're better when it comes to reducing crime.
Well, and I think part of the issue is that when you are waiting and responding, when you're on the defense, it's not as easy to communicate about all of the work and tireless energy that has been put in to actually making communities safer. I mean, Democrats really have to get out there just on their own terms, talking about how important public safety is and how a dual approach to public safety through accountability and prevention will really address the concerns that Americans have about crime in this country. And so they can't wait till someone attacks them on an individual incident of crime. They have to be able to take Americans' concerns seriously, because crime does affect too many people in this country. But the reality is that we're going in the right direction.
Absolutely. All right, then. Listen, it's great to see that crime is going down. But I must say this here, and I will say it all the time, that you cannot confront the issue of crime in this country solely from a law enforcement perspective. If you do not deal with educational and economic issues, then you're not going to actually confront crime.
And that's absolutely spot on. I mean, I think the solutions that will address crime and prevent it over the long term and create really durable safety in communities are building up our schools, investing in housing and healthcare, mental health and substance use resources, beautifying our neighborhoods and our parks. There is no shortage of research, and it's backed by experiences of people who live in neighborhoods where there's a lot of crime, that those are the things that really not only reduce crime, but make people feel safe, make people want to go, want to be out in the community, interacting with one another and supporting one another's safety. That is where long-term change is really going to happen.
Indeed. Rachael Eisenberg, Center for the American Progress. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems.
Oh, she had a big crowd. Oh, the crowd.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on. America's ready for a new chapter. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.